Good evening, Bravo Nights. This is Dr. Lopez, your principal. Welcome to a new edition of our Good Night podcast. And today we have some special guests. We have a really interesting topic to talk about, and we're going to talk about athletics at Bravo Medical Magnet, how they impact our community, how they benefit our community, and why they are important. And possibly explore ways in which we can improve our athletic program, the offerings for our students. And so we have actually three important guests today in our program, and I want to introduce our first guest, Coach Alex, who is the head coach for the volleyball program, Coach Wong, who is the assistant coach for the volleyball program, and also a science teacher here at Bravo Medical Magnet. And we have Jasmine, who is an athlete, a member of the volleyball team. I'm now going to let my co-host introduce himself.
My name is Isaiah. I'm class of 24.
Welcome, everyone. Welcome, Isaiah. Thank you for joining us today. So I'm going to ask a couple of questions first, and then I'm going to let Isaiah, because I know he's got more interesting questions than me. First question I ask is, when I was in high school, I joined different activities, and I know that I learned a lot of things in those activities that helped me in the future. What do you think are some reasons why we should have strong and different offerings of athletic programs here at Bravo Medical Magnet? How do they benefit our students?
Well, I'd like to say thank you for having us. But it's the same thing. When I actually came to Bravo. No, this was my high school, and I joined the sports program. I joined volleyball. And having multiple offerings is for each individual help figure out what they want to do. Instead of like just studying and going home, and they want to explore themselves. Give them opportunity to grow instead of being stagnant. So like having sports, right? I believe it creates a strong leadership. Creates someone to take charge, someone to make decision. Or you could be in there to meet some friends, meet a group of people. Like, sports offer so many things besides just playing. For me, it's like not the biggest win is not about winning. It's like, what can I do to help you grow?
I feel like also, we talk about this a few times, but he says that it's just a place for you to go to after school. Like, it's not necessarily an after school program, but it's a place to be after school. Because who knows, a few of these players that we have, I don't know where they're going to be at if they didn't have volleyball practice after school. Who knows what they could be doing, right? They could be up to no good for all we know. Yeah. But they have a place to stay, like something to do, and it benefits them physically and I think mentally as well. So that's what
awesome. Jasmine, do you want to talk a little bit about your experience?
Yeah, sure. I mean, we have the 6th period class for your sport. So it's like this whole all day you're spending it going to your classes, learning whatever you need to learn. And then you go to your 6th period and it's like, oh, like a breath of fresh air, like a refresher, And it's like you kind of get that break from what you're expected to do every single day of the learning, of the going to your classes, taking notes, whatever you have to do. And it's kind of like, I don't know, very liberating in that sense.
I'm a real competitive kind of guy. I like winning. I don't like losing. And I like to root for my teams. I like to go to basketball games, and, if we had football games, I like all of that. But I like my kids to win. I know that we can't win all the time. Why is it important to also know how to not be successful at a game, to lose a game? Do we learn anything from that?
Let me answer. I like that question. I really do. We both, like I said, we're both pretty competitive. I'm super competitive. And my players, my kids, they know when I want to win, I get like super hot-headed, and I'm just like going out, telling them, instructing them in a nice voice. And
in a coach voice,
in a
right?
Coach voice,
I know
exactly,
what that's
okay?
like.
We know what we always had a coach like telling you what to do. Okay, and it's like this. So being competitive, right? Well, I can't say this for every coach. It's like every coach has their own program, but for my program, right? We don't have the most talented kids. We don't have the most athletic kids, right? And when you want to compete, like I always use this comparison, like the NBA, the pros, they get scouted. They choose the best of the best.
Mm-hmm.
Out here, we choose what we got. And I'm gonna be a little bit off topic, but some of the kids we choose is not because they're talented or they're gifted, but we see that we could help these kids grow or give them a place to be.
Mm-hmm.
It's as Mr. Wong was saying earlier, like, what would you do if you were not part of a program or if you were not part of something? What would you be doing right now? And a season for us is like about 3 months long. They're with us every day, working, growing, trying to achieve a goal in the season. So we give them an objective. There's a goal they try to achieve, and they push for it. We push them for it. But sometimes it's difficult by yourself. Like, if no one's pushing you, and no one's pushing you, you're just stagnant.
Mm-hmm.
But having someone pushing you is going to help you grow. And that sense of competitiveness it's a real world experience where you want to put yourself out there and I want to be better. I want to do better. It's just that feeling of improving yourself. And then lastly, it's like we're so competitive that sometimes I tell my kids this, like, when you truly give up, it's like you don't want anymore. Like, that's when you give up. That's when you're done.
Mm-hmm.
But you never really lose if you keep up, if you stand up, you keep trying, you keep pushing yourself. That's it.
I think that's a good idea. Is you never really lose as long as you keep trying, right? Yeah. You have any questions for him?
I mean, just on like your guys' season, like how do you think the chemistry was? Like between the players, at least, from like that, like an inside perspective or from an athlete's perspective and a coach's perspective.
That's a solid question.
Yeah.
I think my player and we have different perspective of what chemistry is. I'll let you go first.
I mean, like, emotional wise, everybody's like friends on the team, but I feel like if you looked at us play, there wasn't much actual like physical, like we didn't really trust each other, if that's the way to put it. It's very blunt and straightforward, but it's honestly like the truth. It was a very not super connective, and honestly it's the team's fault. It's everybody's on the team. Like, it's not just one person to settle the blame on. But I think, yeah, we were all friends. We were all nice to each other. Like, we would want to hang out, but it was like on the court, you wouldn't notice that we were actually a team. It's kind of sad, but I mean, the only way to develop chemistry with your team is like trusting them, and you have to trust yourself first. And I feel like that's a lot of things that we lacked. I know I lacked it this season. I didn't really trust myself because I'm still like a second year player. I'm a sophomore. Yeah.
Yeah. So the way I explained it to her, what chemistry is to me, is trust. Like, trust is built on. You see it, you see what they could do. That's trust, right? And when you say chemistry, it's such a vague word. I feel like it's a very vague word in sport, because trust is when if you have individual skills and you're good, like you're good in the skills, you can play the sports, you could join any team or any other players with the same skill level and still have chemistry instantly, like that, without building it, because you could see you're capable of playing, so I trust you to play, And then chemistry is tough because sometimes we're not on the same wavelength. We're not in the same. We don't have the same vision. Like, some of us want to win, some of us are pushing, and some of us are just trying to keep up. And I told my kids, like, it's not your fault. Partially, it's my fault because it's my decision on how to form this team, and I chose the pieces that would work best, And the rest is like, you just have to work towards each other and work towards the goal.
I see his point. Like, I agree too. Like, if you're good at the sport, if you have the necessary skills, then yeah, you'd probably fit into any team you get thrown into. Unless it's like a sport that's very complex in the sense where like you have to follow some sort of system. But in general senses, if you're a good player, if you have the skills, you will be trusted by your teammates for you to do your job for that one part of the game. But if you're asking about chemistry in terms of like how well this team is getting along, I would say there's points where like there's some finger pointing for sure. Like,
But so do you think that that happens in just about every group? Like, there will
I'm sure.
be.
I hear about it. I hear like clicks happen.
Yeah.
There's clicks.
Because there are some pretty successful teams that we have here on campus, right? So they've reached championships, CIF,
Yeah.
city championships, and I'm thinking that they probably face some of the same challenges. So how do we learn to get beyond that finger pointing?
I think like what he was saying, if you're good enough at a sport, right? If you're good enough at playing the game, like whether or not you like anybody else on the team, it doesn't even matter because you do your job, you play your part, and then it all like works out a lot better from there. But then when you have people that are not as good, and then they don't want to take the blame, and then they start like pushing the responsibility on other people, then it just gets kind of messy like that. But if we get everyone fundamentally better, I feel like it's just all this other outside, like things that can be left off the court, they will be left off the court. Yeah, it's tough though. Yeah.
It
Still
is, right?
kids.
Because I
Still
heard you
kids.
say something else, something that may be conflicting, and that is that we have what we have, right? We don't go out there and recruit. Like we don't go out there and find talent and bring it to Bravo. So our students apply to Bravo, and that's who we have, and that's who we work with, and that's the right approach, I think, because do you ever get the sense that maybe you'll find someone who's talented but has not had a chance to show that talent in the past?
Actually, that's a good question. Well, partially, part of recruiting is could be looking throughout the school or PE classes. I mean, I'm an off-site coach. Is that what you call it?
Walk on.
Yeah, I'm a
walk-on.
walk-on coach, so
Yeah.
I'm not really on site that
Yeah.
often. So, I think if I had the time, I'll just come. I've been told like talk to other coaches, like walk around, go to PE classes, and recruit them, because there's a lot of talent in the school system that just didn't participate in the sports program or didn't try out.
Yeah.
So all we had, whoever tried out was what we picked from. But I know there was more options out there if given the time and opportunity. And it really depends on your season and sports you do. Like, I'm not gonna say my season was rushed. But I'm not gonna say girls volleyball season was rushed, but it was a bit rushed.
So you did say it.
Yeah. The first day of practice was August 6th? No, August 1st?
Mm-hmm.
August 1st was the first day of practice. Do you know when the Bravo started? The first day of school?
You-
August 14th.
Uh-huh.
That means I had 2 weeks already starting practice.
Uh-huh.
And we only were able to try out during the first week of school, That's when everyone come back, give no opportunity, paperwork. The first week we came back, we already had 2 games scheduled to play. So I'm rushing kids from whoever had last year to finish their physical, get their paperwork done, while trying out new kids who might be potential prospect for this upcoming season, So it was a challenge, but we got through the season, and I feel like the season it was pretty good,
Yeah, I think I don't know. I don't want to jump in and cut you off if you have any more questions, because I can continue talking forever. I think there's more to it than winning, definitely.
Yeah.
And I think there are lots of lessons that can be drawn from those experiences. I am really interested in what Jasmine said about the chemistry and how she felt, and about maybe she has some ideas as to what could potentially be done given the time constraints that Coach talked about. We started on the 6th, and school started the 14th. Rushed. We don't have two gyms like most high schools.
Yeah,
right?
that's a
We don't have the facilities that are, so we have a lot of constraints. We have a lot of limitations. Given all of that, but given that we still have kids who are interested in that, how could we build maybe trust or community or team in addition to what we're already doing? And it's not necessarily the coach, but also us, the school as a whole.
Um, I feel like in relation to that, it's kind of like trust. I feel like I'll say it, like trust. You have to earn it, you know, and specifically just like to volleyball and like in general or like just in general, like it's a very you have to get used to it, and it's like it was uncomfortable. It was uncomfortable this year because it's like nobody really knew each other. It was a brand new varsity. Like all our seniors like left. Like it's like oh now it's our turn. So it's kind of like that pressure. I felt it, and I know a lot of our younger players also felt it. It's like this is what we have. Like that's it, and it was in the beginning. It was like pretty hard to like trust because it's like oh I don't know what you do. I don't know how you play. But towards the end, it did get it did build up. It did build up more, and I don't think we were very disconnected, but we weren't where we would have liked to have been. And I feel like that is in part to we were kind of rushed. But I'm sure if better circumstances, of course, we probably could have done better. But like once again, like, I mean, it's what we have. We do what we can.
All right. Well, you know, the as I said, I am, and I don't compete anymore. But I am very competitive. I want my kids to win. I want my kids to, you know, get out of the gym, get out of the field, and feel like they've accomplished. But I also know that it's beyond the field. It's beyond the court, right? What are some things that maybe? And I'm gonna preface that with one of the most inspirational people for me is Coach Wooden from the UCLA's basketball program.
okay.
Very successful coach, right? But beyond being successful in the court, he was also very motivational, you know, beyond the court. And he talked about a lot of the lifelong lessons that he hoped his players, his athletes would take with them. What are some things that we could take with us that you think we should think about from our athletic programs?
I mean, for me, like it was a lot of character development. Probably, I was really shy. When I first like actually got on the team, I was really shy. I wouldn't talk to anybody. I really kept to myself, and I feel like for me, it really developed like that sort of social skill. Because now, like here I am, like talking to all the girls, and it's like, oh, you guys are listening to me. But yeah, I feel like it's a lot of like personality development. Like you don't really know that sports do that. It's really like you don't know who you are. It helps with that. And I also think like to reference earlier what you said about what you can take from losing, I feel like also it really teaches you like that's the reality. You're not gonna win the entire time, and you're gonna lose, and that's just how it is. That's just how life is. I mean.
Well, let me jump to that. Okay, thinking about losing is not the best mindset, you know. I mean, one of my terms, like I'm a realist. Like out of the CIF, like there's like 100 teams playing, and just like D2 yourself, there's like even the statewide, right? There's like thousands of schools to playing, and then I always use this example: how many winners can there be? Like one. Like really, it's literally one winner. Okay, but does that make you a loser? No. Like there are ways that you could win. You could win people's heart. You could win people's like respect. There's so many ways. Like when you play, I always tell them, when you lose is when you give up. Like you don't do anything, and you just throw them the championship. But if you fight for it, you make them work for it. You give them a sense of like doubt that they might lose. You're the one. You know? So it's not necessarily you're losing. It's just we haven't proclaimed the title yet, but we always have a chance to work towards it. You know.
Yeah, I like that. I like that idea too, and I like the idea of character building. Right, it develops character. It takes a lot to be out there on the court. It takes a lot of strength.
I actually kind of like losing because like you set yourself up thinking like, oh, the expectations are kind of low, and then when you do win, you're like, oh, look at us, we're growing, we're getting better, and it kind of helps you know where you're at, and like every time you reach, like maybe you break that point of winning or doing better or getting close, you're like, oh, we can see our improvement. But yeah, I'm kind of used to losing at this point.
I'm a sore loser, Mr. Wong.
I got
Just
used
kidding.
to it. I got used to it, so I'm like, all right,
Hey,
happens.
Yeah, I know it happens, and I know it takes a lot to get on the court. I hear a lot of kids. I get to talk to lots of kids, athletes and non-athletes, and a lot of them start with, "I'm really shy. Like I don't want to get involved." And I know that getting out to the court, getting out to the tryouts, getting out to to even try takes a lot of effort and a lot of strength. And once you're in there, it develops even more, right? It takes a lot. And so look at you now talking on a podcast and representing your team. So to me, those are the great things about athletics, right?
Yeah.
That the lifelong skills that you will take with you for the rest of your life. And you may not even be aware of it, but they're going with you. And look at my co-host here. We started with an idea, and now he's like helping with the management, and now he's a co-host. So these are you don't know anything. You don't know how things are going to go until you try it.
yeah, I like that because there's also another quote I used to say back then. And especially like volleyball. Well, for any organization, sports, any club, like for us, it's volleyball, right? There's just saying like volleyball is like volleyball's for the girls, like, especially when the guys say it. But you may never know until you try it. Exactly as you say. And then I got all these guys back when I was coaching, like their last year, their senior year. They're coming in, like they try, play 1 year. They're like, oh, I wish I joined my freshman year.
Yeah.
So don't be afraid to try new things. Like jump in and figure out if you like it or not.
Yeah. And actually, that's how I wanted to end this, or to talk about this definitely is, what would you say to all the other students out there that are always thinking, I should go try out, I should do, and they never get out to how do you do it? Like, how do you actually decide to try it?
I think if you see it, like we see with our eyes first, and we see what we like, and if something sparks in your soul or something gives you like, oh, I'm actually quite interested, jump for it, try it out. Like even like I feel sometimes I feel bad that I can't accept everyone try out because I love volleyball. I want to teach the sport that I love, like help it grow, help people play, like people play volleyball all around, but I feel like they don't know the game until they know the game. So sometimes I got like 120 kids trying out, and sometimes we're going to get like 5 kids out of that 120 because like space is just limited. We got people coming back, and even if you didn't make it, but you took one step forward just by trying it out. Like, don't give up. Like for me, like if you want to learn the game, feel free to ask questions. If not, take the time to go outside to a park and practice. And the way I want to say it, especially for the younger kids who tried out for volleyball, like freshmen and sophomores, even juniors, like if you really want to be part of this team or you really want to play and prove yourself that you could do it, like go outside and practice. And tryouts are always open. We're not gonna say no. Like we'll always give you a chance to try out. And we've given a lot of kids multiple chances to try out.
Who are a couple of the players that actually like tried out once, didn't make it, and then made it back in? You have a couple.
Right? I have a lot actually.
Yeah. Like which ones?
So I have this girl named Madison. She's a sophomore this year, but she told me that she tried out last year as a freshman. She didn't make it, but she joined a club team. She played a club team, the following after when she tried out, and then she tried out again this semester, and then we're like, oh, she's actually pretty good. No idea, like I had no idea who she was, but But then I asked her, you ever tried out your freshman year? And she's like, I did. I didn't make it. No. And then I have this other girl. Her name is Giselle.
Giselle.
She's a junior this year.
Mm-hmm.
I think she said I could be wrong with my information. I think she tried out her freshman year as well, or sophomore year, and she didn't make it.
Mm.
But she went to Park and Rec and just play out there, like just bumping, practicing.
Found opportunities.
Yeah. And then try again last year, or I guess this year technically, and she made it. And it just same thing. There's a few girls out there. They practice, they play, and then like they showed us like, okay, you've improved. You know, we see that you're trying, you're improving, so we'll give you an opportunity to come and grow as well.
And there's a lot of resources out there on the internet. Like me, grown adult, also goes on the internet for learning how to get better. So if me, old guy,
Oh, come on,
can
Mr. Wong.
use that.
Come
use
on,
those
Mr. Wong.
resources. Like these kids on their phones, they got all these like 30-second reels that has tons of information. I know
Yeah.
they can get better. They have the resources. So it's not like you don't make it the first year, that's it for you, give up. Nah, like you should, if you like the sport, you should continue to try to get better, find opportunities to get in that sport, play, like get better at it from learning from various people, and then yeah, try again. Because we got some success stories from people who have tried out multiple times and made it in the later years.
Okay, I wanted to ask this earlier, but you guys were talking, and I didn't want to interrupt. But from a coach's perspective, like I know you guys had to choose between a bunch of your athletes on the varsity team, and I wanted to ask, why did Jasmine stand out of everyone in that crowd? You get me? If you guys understand what I'm
Oh,
saying.
he's putting you on the spot, Jasmine.
This Jasmine, I actually got like 3 Jasmine in the team. This one specifically.
Well, it's Jasmine here.
Well, funny story. Her sister actually was on my team.
Nepotism.
Nepotism, right?
Cute.
Her
First thing
sister-
I thought.
Her sister. I have this actually. If you're like a player on my team and your sibling comes in, I give you honestly I do give them a higher chance to come in and join.
All right, you may get into trouble later with those parents out there.
Really?
I'm saying no, just kidding.
Cut that.
Wait a
Just
minute.
kidding. No, don't
That's
worry
weird.
about it. I'm
I had
just.
no idea. Well, anyways, back to the story. So her sister, right, was on my team, and she was a senior. Wait, she was
Yeah,
a senior,
last
right?
year.
Last year,
Last
right?
year.
Last year she
So-
was team.
Sometimes, so over the summer we have summer league, right, where we go to other schools and play, and so her sister, right, came to my summer league, or came to we participated in summer league and we were playing, and she was like, "Hey coach, this is my sister Jasmine." I was like, "There's no way, you don't look alike." But I was like, "She ever play volleyball?" And she was like, "Yeah, she played like I don't know, middle school, Park and Rec, whatever." And so, like I said, I always give opportunity. Like if I see that you're interested, I'll throw you in. So we're in the middle of a summer league, playing. I was like, "Hey, tell your sister to
Suit up.
suit up, come and play." No. And then, hey, what's the question again? I actually forgot. I don't know.
What made her
What
stand out?
made
her
her
stand
stand out?
Yeah.
Oh yeah. So, with that being said, she didn't really try out because I already seen her skills in playing. So, based on the question, it's tough for her compared to everyone else, right? So when she participated in the summer league, she was able to serve, she was able to pass, and so she did what she would do normally if you were to try out. And I saw the skills. So right when she came this right before school start, I already told her just talk to your counselor and switch into 6. No. But for people who were trying out, what makes you stand out is I guess your energy, your hustle, the heart, and just wanting to play the game. And honestly, being coachable. I think being coachable is the biggest thing for any sports or anything, any program, any club. Like if you're not coachable, it makes it very difficult to help you grow.
What does that mean?
Coachable?
Yeah.
It's like
By the way, I know what that means, but I just want to make sure that
Make sure you know.
Yeah, make sure you know.
Talking
No,
about.
just kidding.
oh,
Make sure our public knows what
hey,
coachable
I've been here for
means.
10 years. If I don't know it, dang.
10?
Dang. Well, coachable is like, I guess to me it's like, I'm telling you to do something, like a form or skills, and you try it, right? And
You wanna
keep
learn.
trying it, you know? You want to learn. Instead of like, I guess for some example, there are kids who will, I tell you to do certain things, and don't get me wrong, like every coach, like I can't say it for every coach, but sometimes through my experience, like some coaches, right, they could teach you something, and it could be wrong. Like it could completely be wrong, or it might not be applicable to that situation. So it depends on how you're coaching it. So as I coach, and I'll say like, it's your coach. It doesn't matter who it is. If they're telling you to do certain things, right,
Mhm.
and then you try your best, you do it, right. Then I feel like this coachable because you're trying your best. No, I mean, don't get me wrong. If they're completely wrong, do what they tell you, and then go up to them and explain why there's a better solution to it. You know, that's the proper way. But if you're not coachable, you're probably the kid who'd be like, "Coach, that's wrong. My other coach told me to do this." You know, so that means to me, I'm not coachable because I can't coach you because your mentality is following another step or following your own intuition.
Kind of like they're stuck.
Yeah.
Yeah. If they're not open to taking a risk to change what they're doing.
Yeah.
Because like we see them, if we see them like actually make a change, like to get uncomfortable to do something that they haven't been doing, even though if they aren't successful with it, but they're trying to make that motion, trying to take that first step in a new direction, in a direction that we asked them to go to, then yeah, that's good. We like that. Yeah. But I also just learned, or I'm pretty sure everyone just learned that in order to have a better chance of getting on the team, they gotta find you during summer league, huh? They gotta find where you're at.
No, honestly, hey, honestly, I'm really
Or
open.
be related to a previous player, right?
Hey, I mean, that's part of it. Or you practice hard and then come out again. You know? I mean, there's so many opportunities. You know, there's not one definite way to participate in my team.
Yeah.
You know, like I'm very open, and one thing is like, it's because my coach once told me this when I started coaching. He was like, sometimes we pick up these kids not because they're athletic or the most talented or they're gonna be the future Olympian, you know, but it's literally to, if I see that you're hustling and you have the heart and you just need a place to grow, like I'll give you the opportunity, you know. But and that's quite difficult because I'm not gonna be able to see 120 kids. So what makes it tough is like, in that moment, in that 1 second, if I turn and you're trying, you're doing your best, and you're standing out, that's honestly how you get that opportunity from me, you know? Because there's 120 kids, and if I see that you're like, what do you call that feeling? Like, the feeling of not wanting to be there, it makes me like oversee you immediately, you know? Compared to someone like, they're not that good, but they're throwing themselves, they're trying, they're running so hard, you know? It makes me like, all right, look, you got heart.
Awesome. That was a really good question. Any more questions? Because you have the better one.
I think right now, I mean, I'm still a little like brainstorming of some questions. Like,
It's not an interview. You could feel free to speak your mind, and we'll respond.
I know from, I guess, an athlete's point of view, like I've seen like kids not give heart.
Yeah.
So I know we're like, for you to like look at kids to like pick for your team, I understand where you're coming from, and I know for a fact for me, I like for soccer, I'm varsity 4 years since I think quarantine.
Okay.
So I had to show a lot of heart, even though like the quarantine messed me up really bad.
Yeah.
Where I wasn't conditioning, wasn't doing anything, just staying home and like trying to protect myself and my family.
Yeah.
And coming back, I felt like, oh, like I can't do this, but I had to throw myself out there and like give my 120%. And I know some players, some athletes, I'm not gonna name them because I don't want to get called
That's fine.
out, but But I know I see some of them. They just, they don't give heart, and I try to motivate them or try to tell them like, oh, come on, let's go, let's get up, even if we lose like 6-0. Like I'm still trying to like
Push them.
push them
Yeah.
to be better. But and I've tried that all 4 years, but some kids can be hard-headed and they won't listen to me.
Yeah. No, that's the thing. That's what I do have that issue with a bunch of kids, and don't give up. I think what you're doing is splendid. Like you're being a good leader. You're trying to pick them up even though they're down. And one of my favorite quotes is this: when you're a leader, it's a lonely path because you're walking ahead of everyone. You know, so when your teammates are down and you're trying to pick them up, you might not realize that it's
No one's
affecting
there
them.
to pick you up too.
More
Yeah.
so, like you might think like, oh, it's not really affecting them. You're trying, but the idea, right, that you try, it's gonna be behind her. Like, oh, he actually tried to help me. Like it really, they will really feel a sense of like, oh man, I'm gonna do a little better. They might not do it immediately, but they will feel that sense like someone's really pushing me. You know?
Yeah. And I think that we all have opportunities to be leaders. Some of us step up to the plate more than others, whether you're a captain or you're just a natural leader in the team. But when you do have that role and you play that role in any group, people are always listening, even on the sidelines. And sometimes your words, even when you didn't intend them to have that power or that influence, your words have a huge impact on others. And that's lonely. That's kind of a difficult path to travel, but it's a good one also because it gives you some sense of purpose, right? And responsibility and connection to others, and to me that's a huge part of being part of a team. Is the connection to others, the responsibility that you have towards them, your words, and how they impact you as well. Because we're all connected, and so I think that his advice of keep trying, be aware, you never know. Even if they didn't listen to you on the spot, you may have changed that person's opinion for a long time in ways that you never
might
knew.
have left something in
Yeah.
the back of their mind,
Yeah,
and it's gonna boom
yeah,
later.
yeah. So, and I was thinking of all these other connections, how sports connect to mental health, how sports connect to community building on the outside. Some community schools have football and the entire community comes together to root for the team. How sports have a significant place in our schools, right? And then other connections, but I think that we are out of time for today. We can talk about that in a future podcast. But thank you for your opinions, for your experience, and for for willing to share with us. I don't know if you have any other questions. No.
No, I think that's it.
Any closing remarks for our public?
I think joining a sport is good. Like, not even like you get better at the sport, but you make a lot of lifelong friends. I think we both were on the team at this school, and we're still friends with a bunch of the people that we were here with. And I think a little bit was to do with trauma bonding. 'Cause we had a coach that would just like make us run for no reason. We breathe.
Hey,
We cough, we sneeze, run. Like what?
Hey, that's a big thing.
Yeah, and
You-
You
trauma
know
bond,
he
you're-
watches this podcast,
Oh,
right?
perfect. He knows. Yeah. But yeah, I think like going through it together with a group of people, that brings you together, and then I think you can make some lifelong friends. I hope people make lifelong friends when they join a sport or they build a community somewhere. So hopefully they get that out of it.
Yeah, definitely glad that you brought that up because same thing. I have another quote of that. Like,
Oh.
no, it's really like some of my closest friends were my friends from volleyball from the school, and some of my former players, some of their closest friends were on the team as well, and that's what it is. And not just sports specifically. Like, I know we're talking about sports, but any organization or club or activities, like putting yourself out there, participating, you gotta feel this sense of reward more than just going through your daily tasks through school. Make it more enjoyable.
Jasmine, any closing remarks?
I mean, like from a personal perspective, yeah, I have made friends and I've made like connections with people that I do value, and it was through like putting myself out there, and like it wasn't just like, oh, like hi, like I know you, or like it wasn't previous, because I came to the school with knowing what, like 3 people, because not a lot of people came from middle school here. So I feel like, yeah, volleyball really did like contribute a lot of that to me. But I just think it's good to put yourself out there at that point, especially coming from somebody who like wouldn't talk. Like I wouldn't be doing this if I was me last year, but here I am. So.
And were you at the Taurus game the other day?
Oh, I was.
Oh, heard about that.
You know.
Heard the refs.
The refs.
The refs were on a sick one. They were
Yeah.
for sure sports
It was
betting.
really bad.
Yeah, I came out of the gymnasium after the basketball game feeling all re-energized. And then I go out to the field and I'm thinking, what in the world is going
Yeah,
on?
I didn't know. I didn't know refs
That's
put
a
money
great-
on high school games.
What
man.
happened?
Right?
Yeah.
So we feel like they do, but honestly, that game was just a bunch of bad calls on them. Especially where I was talking to one of the refs, arguing with her the whole time.
Yeah.
Because one of our players, he got hit in the knee with a cleat, and we call it studs up.
Yeah.
So, and at the end of the game, his knee was already getting purple. You know, he was bruising up already.
And the ref
They didn't
said,
call it.
the ref said it was your player's fault for putting his knee on their cleat. Huh?
They, I don't know. That game was just, you know, it was everywhere. Like, a bunch of us we came home, like, our knees were all bloody. Like, my hand was bruised because, like, the turf there was really, like, if you slide, like, that's it. You're
Dang.
you're
That's
getting
And you have to play in front of their
Yeah.
home crowd, which was
Yeah.
pretty
And then
bad
their
too.
home crowd was just, the energy, like, it was just, like, talking trash to you the whole game. If you make one little mistake, it's just, like,
For sure
they're
makes you
on
grow as a person.
Hey, you know, that's another lesson, right? Playing in front of a difficult crowd,
Yeah.
having to deal with refs who may or may not be, you know, right on target. But that's part of the
That's part of life.
Yeah.
This part.
Yeah. Well, thank you, everyone. Thank you. It's been a great conversation today about athletics at Bravo. And I do have a recommendation for all of our students. You never know what you're good at until you try. So get out there, join a club, join a team, join a dance group, join a theater group, join something. Because you never really know if you're that star, that talent that we're looking for, unless you try it, unless you try and go out there, because you can't win the game if you don't go out to the court and play the game, right? And the time is going to go by. You're going to experience 4 years, whether you try it or not. So you might as well try it. And that's my advice to you. So thank you, and remember, always be a good knight. Thank you.